when did you really just have that feeling that this is my time and I got to do something?
So
Galveston, I got to serve because it's a lot in doing what you do
it
too.
is.
People don't realize how much time, and our councilmen don't get paid, nor the mayor, and so this is a service to the community and the people of Galveston.
My family's had a rich history in Galveston. Part of it's family driven, not by them, but by the men that were greater than me before and women.
Hey everyone, it's Gina Spagnola, President and CEO of the Galveston Regional Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Leading Galveston Forward. I'm so excited about our speaker today, Councilman Alex Poretto. We've been friends for a long time. He served Galveston so well, and I can't wait to sort of talk to you about your personal life. Everybody sees you at the council meetings and they know you as our council person. But I really want to talk about your life and your journey to Galveston, and then we'll get back to City Hall and some of the priorities that you have for this year and beyond. So thank you for saying yes. I know you're super busy. It's the summer months, and we're going to talk about why that's so busy for him. So thank you for joining us. It's going to be a really great show. So anyway, tell us about your journey, Alex. How'd you get to Galveston?
Well, my family's been from here since the 1880s.
Yes.
So my journey was born in Dallas. My mom was at school at the time. Came back for being closer to my grandparents.
Yes.
Moved to like Clear Lake area. Moved back up to Houston, but there hasn't been really a time where I've been away from Galveston. When my grandfather was alive, he passed in 2007. I would be pretty much down here every weekend. I spent a lot of time here, coffee club with, Vic Fertitta, my grandfather, Maurizio Antonelli, some of the older Galveston Italian crowd, but it was,
I love that.
Yeah.
What was that like as a young kid,
it was
listening to those conversations of really legends in this city?
it was pretty cool. I've met a lot of the Galveston legends as a young man, and I feel like it shaped who I am today. I really do. I mean, it's hard work, determination, looking out for one another.
Their love for Galveston.
Yeah.
You must have seen it. And many of them born and raised here, or they got here as soon as they could, like many of us. But that must have been such a great life lesson for you.
It really goes back to like storm after storm. We're here. We've been here for a long time. So it's storm after storm is kind of the
resilience.
Yeah, it's
so resilient.
people leave when there's a storm. They don't really experience it. And if you've stuck around for more than one, especially Ike, and you've seen it, there's something that gravitates you back here. And it's why people keep coming back to visit here and live here, and have lived here for generations. There's something about this coastal way of living that we all share.
I think we call it the sort of the spirit of Galveston and those before us. And at the chamber, a lot of times, people come in and they'll see those storm lines throughout the city, way up. And I remember a developer one time said, "Did you guys do these lines?" I said, "No, we didn't, but the Historical Foundation did, and we track those." And it's like, why in the world would you ever have that, to show someone that, oh my gosh, look how high this water is. And I said, it's really so much more than that. It's not a bragging thing about that. It's about the resilience of the Galvestonians before us. And when you really get it and you come down here, you're rolling up your sleeves. You feel this yearning to rebuild and get back. You can't leave.
Yeah.
Some did.
Yeah. So 2008 Ike happened. 2009, that was one of the first years I was out on the beach, Poretto Beach.
Yes.
Cleaning up, helping out with the storm, reopening for summer, being 15 or 16, setting out umbrellas and chairs. My grandfather had done it. He had rental properties too, but that was kind of the beach was kind of his baby, his legacy. Out there with my mom and my sister, still going to school at Lamar. I went to Lamar High School in Houston, and then I went to A&M Galveston. did a couple years of the School of Hard Knocks, but went to
Yes.
A&M Galveston, did my undergrad in marine environmental law and policy.
Mhm.
And then I went back right before COVID for my master's in coastal resource management.
That's so good. That beach, we were just talking about Poretto Beach, and we were looking at these great, we're in the admin building of GISD. It's historic within itself, but they have the most beautiful hallways filled with our history, with Galveston's history. We just saw a picture of the beach, and you told me the story of what that beach once was.
So
Yeah.
the prior to, I'm not sure exactly when it was, GISD property, but so my great grandfather bought the piece of beach, which is Poretto Beach now, from the school district because the school district was broke and trying to
Yeah.
find funds. And this was 1950, so I'm not sure I'm hurting anybody's feelings for saying that the
Right.
school district was broke
They
back
were
then.
struggling.
But they were struggling. I think that was gambling was leaving. It was kind of a different time for Galveston. And so they bought it from the school district in the 50s. It was
It was the playground.
it was the children's
Can you
playground
imagine
courts.
that's where they went and played on the beach? How
Mhm.
cool is that?
Plastic
Yeah.
rust in Galveston, so I could imagine what it would cost to keep up a playground on the beach.
Oh, yeah,
Everything probably rusted away
absolutely.
within a year or two.
So you graduated from Texas A&M, got your master's there, and then what?
And then operated the beach. There was a period of time there where we weren't operating. And then, my mother got the property back out of bankruptcy court. We fought really hard at that time. There were some people with their hands in the pocket or hands in the cookie jar.
Mhm.
And we were fortunate enough to get my mom's property back. So I did that in the summer. Each year we would operate on the beach. And then, city council opened up. I ran in 22, lost my first one, and then I ran in 24. Um, I met my wife originally on the beach in 2009 or 10.
Mhm.
And then I had to bug her again to go out on a date with me in 2019, right before COVID happened.
Right.
Was going to A&M for my master's. COVID happened. That was a whole big thing. I'm sure we're all trying to forget that part.
Yeah.
But we were recently married, so a lot of my life is tied to that property in Galveston, and I've
And
just
service. That's one of the things. I mean, you're so young. I forget because you're so mature, and I think you're always older than what you are. Um, when did the service bit? I mean, you did try running back then, but what drives you? I mean, that's not easy serving. I know because the chamber works so closely, to, hopefully always with the mayor and the council and the city. It's important to have those relationships. But when did you really just have that feeling that this is my time and I got to do something?
so
Galveston, I got to serve because it's a lot in doing what you do
it
too.
is.
People don't realize how much time, and our councilmen don't get paid, nor the mayor, and so this is a service to the community and the people of Galveston.
So my family's had a rich history in Galveston. Part of it's family driven, not
Mhm.
by them, but by the men that were greater than me before and women. My great great grandmother was known as the Angel of the East End.
Oh,
Uh,
love that.
yeah,
What was her name?
that was I think that was Rose Schumann,
Yes.
and then she married Henry Peter Poretto Jr. or Senior. And then my grandfather, but you know, they've always served.
Mhm.
My great grandfather was on the Stewart Beach Park Board from the 40s until 63. Park Board was created in 63. I showed you some of the documents.
Yes. Oh, such a
Lippincott,
rich
Lippincott
history.
was
Yes.
the president of the chamber at the time.
Yes.
They endorsed the vote to create the park board. My grandfather was on the park board in the 70s. Gus Manuel was mayor. We got the plaque and everything. He was when the park board was created, my grandfather was the vice president of the CVB, which is now Visit Galveston.
Mhm.
He was also the vice president in the 70s of the Galveston Hotel Motel Association, which is now the Hotel Lodging Association.
Right.
So there's always been kind of this attitude of serving and giving back and helping forge and create what has made Galveston what it is. But what I witnessed as a young man everyone knows the Poretto Beach saga, whatever they want to call it. But I've been fortunate to see what it is to be at the opposite end and the receiving end of what I would call, a weaponization of government. And it's been really frustrating at times. And what I saw was my mom and family were vilified for either owning a piece of property, standing up for your rights, your private property rights. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to be a champion and be something for others that I didn't see or have an advocate, a champion that could protect your interests, your property, your livelihood, your checking account, that to me was lacking. And I'm proud to have been reelected, and I'm proud to have been elected in 2024. And I want to continue to serve. And I think it shows that my track record shows I defend the little guy. That's what I focus on.
We share that passion for sure, in that it is the mission of the Chamber to promote and advocate for business. And it's why we were established 181 years ago during the Republic of Texas, and to protect back then those waterways and commerce and all those things. And we share that passion. It's not that we're not giving back and helping feed people and do that and that, but at the end of the day, people, they come down, they have a dream, they spend sometimes their life savings to open up a business here and to run that business. And we just want to make sure that we give them the tools and the resources that they need, how to navigate City Hall to survive here. And that's what I love about you, that yes, you have the beach, and yes, you saw what happened, you lived through that, but you do help so many small businesses. I mean, large businesses too, but the couple that may not have a voice or feel like they don't.
Yeah, and a lot of it too is being a sounding board, right? So someone may come to me with a problem. I may not be able to fix the problem. Sometimes it's out of my wheelhouse. Sometimes it's in the public sector, private sector. I get people from Bayou Vista messaging me, and I'm like, I don't have nothing to do with Bayou Vista, but I can get you in charge of get you in touch with the county commissioner, or with the chamber, with you. I've sent you a few people, and we all should work together, because we all really do have a common goal and interest.
We do, and it's all very positive. And I think sometimes people feel intimidated, to maybe approach City Hall or various things or community events. They feel intimidated, or maybe their voice won't be heard, and that it might come out negatively. And so I love that you are a champion, as well as we are a champion for those people that, and then what happens is, if they don't have a champion in the community, then a lot of times that's when you begin to see in communities businesses close. When businesses close, our schools don't thrive. You lose your tax base.
That kills me to watch some businesses leaving.
Yes.
The one thing I have to that point, I said when I first got elected, I gave a nice little speech, and I said, I used to give public comment, now I have to take it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, it is not easy. Sometimes you're flustered. Is this coming across as rude, or am I being unreasonable in my public comment? And no, you're not. I mean, that's, I actually encourage people to come and give public comment, because if you don't, like, I hate problems, because I don't want any. You know what I mean? I don't want problems.
You're super positive and stuff, and so it's hard when you are.
But you want to. Tillman said something the other day that it resonated with me. Don't look at the 95% that's good. Find the 5% that's bad, and then you can address it, right? You can address those problems. I'm all for it, right? When people bring out problems, I'm like, let's find a solution. I'm a solutions person, and again, it's about the residents. A lot of people get elected, and they forget it's about the residents. And if you're not going to be the residents that own businesses, the residents that don't, the residents that are on fixed incomes, the residents that, otherwise are mind their own little business,
Right.
and if we can stay out of that as much as possible
Yes.
from a city government standpoint, that's where I align with.
It is, and it always, it worries me when that gets mixed up into it's either business or or the residents, because the businesses most of the time are residents here. So we're really serving all the people
Yep.
and together. And so, like you said, you can't solve every problem, but sometimes people just need to feel listened to.
Yep.
They just want someone to know and someone to listen. And that's really what it's about with most people. It's just to be able to tell their story. You might can connect them, maybe you can't, but they want to be listened to. I think you do a good job at that. I think
Thank
do
you.
a
I
great job
appreciate it.
at that.
Thank you.
So now, what are some of your top priorities? You're in, you won. So what are some of your top priorities? And let's talk about some things that just really excite you when you wake up in the morning about where the city's going. What are
So
maybe the top 3 things that you're just like, oh, I'm so happy to be a part of this?
I want to see better communication, and that means, I mean, it's a very vague statement. I know you can boil down political talking points into like a 2-minute stump
Yeah.
speech, but we have needed better communication with the residents,
Mhm.
better communication off island, because if we're not building
Absolutely.
if we're not building the relationships
Yes.
with at the state and federal level, we're missing out a lot of resources that we can get. If we're not communicating with the residents, for example, 10% of the residents are on our emergency broadcast
Mhm.
or app, for notifications. I'm continuously pushing. That was after Barrel, we found those numbers out. Continuously pushing. How do we get more people involved? How do we get more people?
Mhm.
We're putting out information, but it's only
Right.
going to 10%. So when I still hear from people that we're not getting this information, it's not a dig at somebody. It's
Right.
not a negative thing.
Mhm.
It's what are we need to do better. We need to find a way to
Right.
do better to get out to more people so that we are safer. We are getting more information out. So people are more inclined to go out and vote, right?
Yeah. And
10%
they're informed.
and being informed about
Being
what's going
informed,
on.
I mean, it's all about that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you read a comment and you're like, man, I wish you'd have watched the workshop because I addressed your
We
comment
just talked
perfectly.
about that.
Literally addressed your comment perfectly
Yeah.
if you just would watch the
Mhm.
workshop. And a lot of that too is on the elected officials to
Mhm.
communicate. My wife kills me sometimes because I'm always on the phone, but I'm communicating.
Yeah.
I'm actively bridging the gap of information from the public and from my office that I hold, which is not my seat, it's the people's seat.
As people say, well, I think we can help some. We need to think about that with the chamber, because we could certainly put out something from you to the members, which is over 1,000, and with representatives up there of just stop what you're doing right now and connect to the app,
Yeah,
or stuff like that. And
I've
so
used
we
the
can
chamber
start doing.
blast before.
You do, and we really get good results from that. By the way, when I do call you and we talk a lot, and I know you're on a date with your wife, I try to get off really quickly. He'll say,
She said
he always answers and says, "Hey, we're going to the Astros."
To be
I'm
fair,
like,
she
okay.
says I show her the phone
Yes.
and she goes, only Gina, only
Oh,
Gina.
I love her so much. She knows that, but I try to, if you go, I'm on a date, I say, call me after the date, have fun. So thank you for always picking up the phone though. But I know it's not just for me with you. You pick up the phone when people call, and I appreciate that.
The other thing
So
that
what are some other things that just really excite you though? I mean, I feel like, don't you feel like we're just living in a time that it's really the best that Galveston has ever been? I mean, how do you feel about that?
maybe I'm jaded because
Uh-huh.
of I've heard of all the history and things that happen
Uh-huh.
in Galveston. I feel like maybe the 70s and 80s might have been the
Uh-huh.
heyday of Galveston.
Uh-huh.
But I'm trying to get back to. We had a huge live music scene.
Mhm.
People remember seeing ZZ Top playing, at the Beach Hut.
Mhm.
The Grass Menagerie. There's AC/DC played down here too. Just
Great music scene in the 70s and 80s everywhere.
yeah,
Maybe it was
yeah,
just because it's the 70s and
maybe
80s.
that too. But getting to the point where we have so many people on the beach where you're stepping over one another to get to it, and
Mhm.
it's a really fun experience.
Yeah.
What everyone likes the reprieve from
Right.
summer. Like I'm as much as the next guy. When school first starts, nice to be driving down the seawall and not have, you know,
Mhm.
a traffic jam everywhere you go.
Mhm.
But there's a cost to that. There's, you know, when there's not commerce happening,
Right.
there's a cost to that. And so how do we, you know, I'm a, again, I don't like problems because I don't like problems, you know.
Right.
Um, I want to see us, how do we continue to pay for our services? How do we continue to keep the island affordable without raising taxes, without, you know, raising
Mhm.
fees?
Making it harder for people to live here.
Yeah, that's the one
Mhm.
thing that it
Mhm.
keeps me up at night, but it also
Yeah.
drives me, you know, you know, we can talk about tax rates and, you know, how it affects people, and
Mhm.
we all kind of know the generalities of it, but you know, it at the core principle, you know, taxes, fees, and regulations, you know, that increases your poverty. If you increase
Mhm.
those, your poverty level goes up,
Yeah.
and if you decrease those, it's just statistically shown, empirical evidence is shown to lower your poverty rates.
Right.
And you know, when I hear about how, you know, certain businesses aren't allowed to open up in certain neighborhoods, you know,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, how do we change that?
Right.
How do we adjust? You know, everything at the local level is the most important thing
I
for
know.
government, and how do we change that? How do we make it be more friendly? This is that
Mhm.
communication thing, right?
Right.
So when someone wants to open up a business to the city, you know, we owe it to them to have a better bedside manner
Mhm.
and be more inviting and open and
Yes.
communicative. When a developer comes in and says, here's the property I have," it shouldn't be a running back and forth.
Right.
And we have a bad reputation for that. Galveston
Yeah.
does have a bad
Yeah.
reputation for that, and I
Well,
want to seek.
we
I'm
always
seeking to
talk about
change
it at
it.
the chamber and at Visit Galveston, and we partner and have this beautiful relationship. And I guess just the way that I was raised, and I know it's the way you're, maybe it's just Italian families, the way we're raised, but it's always, how can I help you? How can, when someone comes in, let's get to it. And even if the problem couldn't immediately be solved, it's always kind of a yes, let me help you do that. So, no, right off the bat is never a good way to greet anyone. It can't be done. No, it can't, because sometimes it can be done. But just that welcoming there. And I always tell our crew too, sometimes they may be the only people, they may not ever get to me where I'm going to walk out and help them pay for their parking and do stuff if they have difficulty. Um, and so that one person that they see that greets them can make or break their experience. And it's the same at City Hall. So any of us may be the only person that they come in contact with, and we can make or break their day. And I think that's just how you live your life.
Yeah,
You're either that person or you're
I've
not.
had people
So,
say, you know, to me, you know, that an experience with somebody else made them want to leave the island.
right,
And I've had the opposite where they, you know, they said, you know, my experience with you and you being inviting and
right,
welcoming and actually listening to my concerns,
right.
it's been, you know, a breath of fresh air.
Well, it just goes back to being heard and feeling
We're good.
welcomed
Yeah, it's a customer
in
service.
anything. It's
It's
customer service. Okay, I have some quick questions to
okay.
ask you before we see how quickly 30 minutes goes.
Has it been 30
It goes
minutes?
so fast. It's been 28. Can you
Okay.
believe it? Okay, so here you go, Alex Poretto. So what, and this might have come from you being smaller and being with all those legends, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Um, Probably my grandfather, you know, the "Don't judge a book by its cover."
Mm.
You know,
That's a good one.
yeah, it is. You know, yours is Maya Angelou, right?
Yeah, when
Show
people show you who they are,
I think
believe
those
them.
2 go
They
hand in
do.
hand.
They do.
Um, you know,
I can't believe you remembered that.
yeah, I
That's so
remember.
awesome.
I got a lot of room up here, but
Mhm.
you know, there was a time. Well, a story that my grandfather told me. You know, he liked Lincolns. He was going to go buy an old town car, and you know, he worked. We're a working family, right? We
Yeah,
work for a living, so he had his old
that's how
T-shirt
I
with
grew up too.
holes in it, you know, and
Mhm.
he's at the Lincoln dealership, and the salesman comes up and you know poo poos him off, you know, and then he comes up in a better dressed with a
Mhm.
suit or you know kind of his Sunday clothes on. um, you know, another salesman comes up and, you know, he's like, I'm going to deal with you, not him, because he, you know, when I was in my work clothes,
That's right. Coming straight
you
from
treated
work.
me like I was less than, and you know,
Mhm.
he worked for a living, so he could afford a Lincoln, you know, an old Lincoln
Mhm.
Town car.
Yeah.
So things like that, and I got a lot of stories from old Galveston. A lot of it's
Yeah.
gonna die with me, but it's
But never judge the book by its cover is a
never
great one.
treat people
The
from
way you want to be treated. too.
exactly from where they're at. People want to be
Mhm.
talked to where they're at.
Yeah, I love that. In the darkest days, what keeps you going when a lot of things are coming at you? You've been through a lot. What keeps you going here in Galveston and
Uh,
just in life?
Probably my faith in my family.
Awesome mother and his grandmother, y'all. I love her so much. You couldn't go too far off that track with grandma.
No,
on
I
there.
did get to live with her when I went to A&M, so it was pretty. Those
She's
were fun
pretty
times.
awesome.
Yeah, they played
You got some
mahjong.
good, strong
Oh yeah,
women
they played
in
mahjong
your
until
life.
2 a.m. So I got a little party life balance. I
She's
got.
serious about her mahjong. I love them.
Yep, they
You
are.
got some good ladies in your life.
And they live for a long. The ladies live for a long
They
time,
live
so
long because they're strong.
there's something there.
Yeah, they're leaders. Okay, what's one habit or mindset that keeps you focused and resilient? Are you an early person? Do you get up early?
I do. I get up early, but it's I think it's my ability to compartmentalize, and then I can springboard
Mm-hmm.
off of ideas. I have a really good network and community of people. I utilize that to, if am I, I've called you on a few occasions, like, am I thinking too far off on this?
Mm-hmm.
Am I reasonable? Am I being
I
reasonable?
love that you do that.
And I think that's part of the communication, but what continues to drive me is like just that pursuit of making things better. Like the pursuit of, I think it's that hospitality kind of mindset, it's just the pursuit of, how do I improve this to the fullest extent? As a kid, I used to break things down to see how they worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I do. That's what I do now is I break things down. I see how they work and I want to make improvements on that. And that's kind of it's always the constant self-improvement.
Were you ever in scouting?
No, but I did a lot of football.
Yeah. Teamwork.
So teamwork, film
Sport.
review.
Yes. Depending
exactly
on your team. Yeah,
knowing what's going on over here without seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just
discipline.
Yeah. A lot of that.
Love that. Well, any final thoughts about this upcoming year? We got the cruise ships coming in. We had, I think, over 9 million visitors last year. We've got the big icon of the seas coming in next year. So lots of fantastic things happening at the port and with the park board and Visit Galveston and our chamber and businesses coming in. So I say Galveston's doing really well. And I'm looking forward to another next 2 years, right?
Yeah. So we're just starting now with a new city council for the next 2 years. The last two, we got MSC in.
Yes.
We've
Norwegian.
We fought a moratorium on some of the cruise ship stuff.
Yes.
I think letting businesses flourish is always leaving the door open. You never want to close the door completely. What I'm excited about for the next 2 years is going to be, I think everything around us is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we continue to do the same things,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to, like I think Luke Bowman said it best, the change is going to lead us.
Yes.
So, we have, more cruise lines coming in.
We've got Davies Shipbuilding.
We've got
talked about
Davies
that
Shipbuilding.
here too.
We've got Saks on Seawall. We've got the TR coming in line.
Yes.
We've got, I know Discovery Sands is on hot on everyone's mind right now. We've got changes happening. Mm-hmm. And if we're not going to lean into it and utilize what we have, people are we're still an hour away from one of the largest cities in the world.
Largest, soon to be third. Mm-hmm.
And what are we doing to leverage that to benefit the lives of our residents, but also having a welcoming door, but also drawing a line and having rules too. Mm-hmm. That's the big one. Mm-hmm. And I've seen I would say the last 10 years, there really hasn't been a rule setting on what we do at the island or what you can do here. And I think we need to be a little more proactive, but we're in a changing world. We have so many positive things happening, but we need to really do the work, roll our sleeves up, and figure out how we're going to address these problems. Housing short. We have it's. I hate to be negative, but we have a housing surplus. Yeah. Right. We have a 28 months of housing stock. So how do we address these problems? And that's where I think is going to be the next 2 years, is addressing those problems. And if we don't change our approach, we're going to be stuck in the mud, and we're going to sing the same songs in 2 years about it.
Right.
So not that I'm not all about the positive things happening.
Davies
will change the landscape of our island. We're on we're on the national scene with shipbuilding.
That's right.
We're going to get hopefully some more of that coming in. We're going to have this, supporting infrastructure for those businesses. But what else are we doing? How are we going to benefit the residents? How are we going to keep costs low?
Grow and protect
what we have. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic to see where we're going to go, but we can't do the same things. We have to think outside the box. And I'm 32. Being young and innovative is, people always tell, "Oh, you're so young," and I don't see myself as that.
I know. I see you much older, only because you're kind of like my daughter. She's just an old soul. Yeah. And has just always been.
But that's what the Galveston legends did.
It really is.
They were trailblazers. Yeah. The 50s happened, right? Yes. Gambling went away. Okay, we're going to move to this new world of tourism, right? And they did it. And did it well. And we've been reaping the benefits of those successes. So what are we going to do in the next 50 years? Right. What are we going to do where, I made the joke, I don't want to be a councilman my whole life. I want my grandkids to complain to me about what I did in the early 20s, to get to where we are today. So I want to grow for the future.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the kids and hopefully being Auntie Gigi or Godmother Gigi. So with that, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time to be here. I really appreciate it. I know you got a lot going on. I drove by your beach and we got a lot going on here in Galveston. So thank you for joining us on Leading Galveston Forward. And until next time, see ya.